Meanwhile, the U.S. Defense Department is still scrambling to try to plug that leak of classified documents that poses a very serious risk to our national security around the world.
It would help if they knew where it came from. This is Fox News learns the U.S. intelligence leak could have come from outside the Pentagon.
Lucas Tomlinson joins us live with the latest. Lucas, this just seems unbelievable that our national intelligence reports are on social media for basically anyone to see.
For 4 months.
Seems pretty embarrassing, guys. Right. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says he was first made aware of these classified leaks on Thursday. Now, nearly a week later, he says the Pentagon still doesn't know the source.
They were somewhere in the web, and where exactly and who had access at that point, we don't know. We simply don't know at this point.
Let's look at the major disclosures in these leaks. Ukraine's air defense and war in general in peril. The Pentagon has doubts about Ukraine being able to kick off its spring counteroffensive. U.S. intel and some of its spies in Russia could be compromised. Israel's spy agency, the Mossad, supporting domestic protests. South Korea is concerned about supplying weapons to Ukraine. The UAE agreed to work with Russian spies against the U.S. and the British. And Egypt secretly planning to supply Russia with 40,000 rockets. Keep in mind, Egypt has received over $80 billion in military and economic aid from the United States since 1978. Now, on Capitol Hill, the Republican chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee laid out who stands to hurt the most from this leak of sensitive information.
Whoever did this, in my judgment, is guilty of espionage by giving away our secrets, which will only empower and embolden Chairman Xi in China and Putin in Russia. And just having gotten back from Taiwan, we were circled by, 10 battleships, an aircraft carrier, and 70 fighter jets. It's very serious. And it's really going to hurt Ukraine, which is very sad, as they're building their counteroffensive in the springtime.
Now, moments ago, China announced it would impose a no-fly zone north of Taiwan for 3 days, beginning Sunday, which means a missile test or potential space launch vehicle are likely. This as President Biden is in Northern Ireland today and will later head to Ireland. Guys?
All right, Lucas, thank you very much. So, the good news is this was not a hack. They didn't hack into a system, but it was a leak. And so, like Lucas said, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know where it came from. It was initially posted on a Discord server with 20 active users. So you would think that it wouldn't be that hard to track down. Discord channels focus on Minecraft computer game, funny memes, and edgy jokes. And you got to wonder why the Discord channel, because it sat there for weeks and weeks and weeks. Around it, funny memes, edgy jokes, stuff about video games. What if, just my theory, what if the leaker was actually a gamer? Somebody who's, they're talking about Minecraft, they're talking about a video game, and they're talking about strategy, and then out of nowhere, the person posts, oh yeah, well look what I've got, to show off, or for whatever reason. Maybe it wasn't nefarious where the person was trying to damage U.S. intel, but they wanted to show off. It could have been somebody whose family has access to that stuff. Then again, it kind of reminded me of a Reality Winner. Remember the contractor who had access to the documents, folded them up, and then leaked them to a journalist. These documents also folded up and then photographed near Gorilla Glue and a rifle
Just sitting
sight.
on someone's desk?
Yeah, just don't think, it could be somebody who wants to hurt the United States. But then again, it could be just somebody showing off. Why would they put it on Discord, a site with video games and funny memes?
Yeah, maybe it is like some 20-year-old that the dad has
Showing
access
off,
to
yeah.
these documents. We don't know.
Just a theory.
They were
Nobody's
stolen.
talking about that.
We know they were stolen. They were distributed online. Too many people had access to this sensitive information, our officials are saying. The Pentagon's asking you, if you have these documents, if you've seen them, please don't share these images of the papers.
Right.
With the dates February 28th and March 1st. But Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin didn't find out about this until April 6th. That was 6 days ago. But this has been going on. You said it was distributed 4 months ago, Brian?
Yeah, so it starts in January. It hops on Discord, which is also a way they communicated evidently with the Unite the Right group. So Discord, I never heard of, a gaming site. but it is so devastating for the U.S. because the intelligence goes out about the Ukraine war. It goes out about what South Korea is or isn't doing to support it, what Egypt wanted to do for Russia, what Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and how the Mossad perhaps was working against Netanyahu, fomenting unrest in the streets of Israel. So it starts out in a chat group in January. There's no doubt about it. To me, I always thought that if something like leaked documents were out and about in the cyber world, we'd have a way of reining it in and at least noticing it, but nothing happens. March, more documents are reposted. It goes out to 4chan and other places. Then it ends up on Telegram on the Russian sites, where the Russians are thought to have manipulated some of the data to make them look better. Now, on Thursday, the Pentagon announced the investigation into how the documents were leaked. You think so? So they were saying, and Jennifer Griffin said yesterday, there's 53 they're looking at specifically, and they're really focusing on mid-February to early March. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, why aren't you focusing on January? Why aren't you focusing on now? And the greatest fear is that the worst is yet to come, that they have more documents. The things that are in this are only distributed to between 5,000 and 10,000 people. And being that it's printed out, they feel as though they could find out what printer actually printed it out. Being that it was folded 3 times, and Steve, you mentioned the Gorilla Glue in the backdrop, they might say who was sitting at this place at this time, where the photo might have been taken of these documents to maybe cover their tracks. But our allies look at us as inept and untrustworthy. Our enemies say, wow, I can't believe everything that we now know. And then you wonder if the methods in which we're doing it are now revealed. But we're going to have a lot of time, at the worst time, a lot of ground to make up to regain trust in American intelligence. 10 years ago, this happened. It was a disaster, but at least we knew who did it. Right. We don't know if the worst is around the corner.
Well, the FBI is trying to work on the source. They're trying to find out who did it and why they did it.
So terrible.
What was their motivation?
And it's not just the secrets. It's not just information. It's not just the roadmap to Ukraine that we're worried that Russia could now read online. It also affects lives. Many people 100%. Are going to be very cautious before they talk to our government officials.
We have people inside Russia to the point our intelligence is so pristine, they think people are going to go off buildings soon.
Right.
Listen to Mark. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, to the point about Russia, Russia has already used some of the images. They've doctored them, and so they've made Russia look much better regarding the Ukraine war. There's a lot of Russian disinformation now regarding these particular things.
And
anyway,
that's what Mark Thiessen was talking
exactly.
about. He's a Washington Post columnist, you know him, about these leaks and the seriousness of this. Listen.
It's a huge deal, and it is worse than Snowden, because Snowden gave away older intelligence and he gave away programs. This is exposing human sources. I mean, they're exposing how we penetrated the Russian Ministry of Defense, how we penetrated the Wagner Group. There are people right now, I would assume, who are in danger of being killed or are in hiding because when the Russians find out that we knew certain information, they knew who had it and who didn't have it, and they can go after them. And you know, if you see all these oligarchs happening to fall out of buildings, you might see some U.S. sources falling out of buildings too. So and that's going to cut off intelligence to us, and it's going to deter other people from sharing with us because we can't be trusted to keep those secrets.
Yeah, and remember, the adults are back in charge, and we're supposed to bring in America being back. Remember the former chairman of Foreign Relations when he became president of the United States, who was once vice president? Yeah, America is back. The world is on fire over our ineptness to allow Ukraine to happen, the Afghanistan exit, Taiwan, an invasion could be imminent. And where's the president of the United States? He's going to Ireland to check out his heritage. Right. That's going to be fantastic, where he'll take maybe one question or maybe 0 questions, because I actually think it's unacceptable to think that there's so many things that America has to answer for, including allies like France, who come out and say, I'm kind of siding with China now. I don't want to get involved in the Taiwan-China dispute. I don't want to get between America and China. Really? Our oldest ally? So we'll lose our allies. Our enemies are fortified and combining. And the President of the United States, no press conferences, and a visit to Ireland to see if he can find his family tree.
Did you watch the interview with President Trump on Tucker?
I did.
He talked about this. He said, we have China on the heels of Taiwan. We have what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. Right. The president needs to be having a press conference, which he doesn't have anything on the schedule. He's taking shouted questions occasionally, the spokesperson of the White House says, and he's in Ireland checking out castles and his heritage.
Well, Peter Doocy is there in Belfast with him. If anybody can get a shouted question, he can. But just imagine, there's so much regarding this leak we don't know. But just imagine if it was a gamer. if it was a kid, if they had access to some of our secrets that were in somebody's briefcase. Just imagine. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.